reporting. Did you guys get any snow down there?
We aren't. I think we got a flurry or two, but that's been about it.
Okay, we got a little less than an inch here in northern Kentucky, and as it went further north, we got some. So, but apparently the staffing employee issues have hit the road crews as well, from what we understand. So there were some short staff. So some of the roads didn't get treated on time. So I know we only have a few minutes, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with the current coronavirus numbers. They seem to be on the rise again. There were here just in northern Kentucky when we saw active cases go from about 400 to 1,400 in just a week. What are you saying to Kentuckians with the holidays approaching and a lot of the states still in the red zone?
We may be tired of fighting this virus, but this virus is not tired of trying to kill us. We need to take it seriously, but we have more tools at our disposal than ever before. The increase we're seeing right now is due to the fact that the Delta variant is a deadly and aggressively spreading adversary, waning immunity, which is real, as well as human behavior and wanting to get together more, and it getting colder and us moving indoors. So as we approach the holiday, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, please do. It is going to help in the long run, not just with Delta, but with Omicron. Number two, and most importantly, get your booster. Don't wait. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that put it off and ended up getting COVID. And while they were ultimately okay, it was not a pleasurable experience. And then last, as you're coming into the holidays, try to do it safely. Make sure everybody in the home is vaccinated and boosted. Those that can't or those that won't, please ask them to wear a mask. It protects them and it protects you. And I just keep the gatherings reasonable, maybe a little bit smaller than you would normally do. But know that there are a lot of seats at the Christmas table this year that are empty because of everything we've been through. And we don't want there to be more empty seats next year.
How would you rank or rate the state's response over the last year and a half, 2 years? I mean, we're coming up on 2 years now. How would you rate the state's response overall?
Well, we have done in Kentucky in response to this virus things that have never been done before. We didn't have the first vaccination at this time last year, and we didn't have a network to distribute it. That network to distribute vaccines was the largest logistics challenge since World War II. We built out a network that is so robust that you can get it in every county in Kentucky in a short drive or even a walk. And the system is now so big and flexible that it could take on boosters or new age groups of kids without a hiccup at all. And then when you look at less than a year, we have vaccinated over 2.7 million people. Over 62% of every man, woman, and child in Kentucky has gotten at least one shot in the last year. That's never been done in human history, but it's not enough. I want to say to everybody who helped make it happen, thank you. And it's incredible, but it's not enough for the adversary we're facing. So we got to keep pushing. We got to continue to get new people vaccinated, and we have got to get those boosters. But all in all, I think that Kentuckians all across local health departments, hospitals, and the rest have done an incredible job, and I'm grateful.
We're about a month away from the General Assembly starting back up. It is a budget year. Given your previous rocky relationship with the General Assembly, what are you expecting this year, and what are your budget priorities?
Well, I'm hoping that we all come into it with the approach that it's not our job to move the state to the left or to the right, but to move it forward. And knowing that we are at a historic moment in our Commonwealth, where we have a chance not to just leapfrog 3 states in our economic leadership, but 30 states, that this is the budget where we can turn 2 very good years of economic progress into 20 years of economic prosperity. We're going to be able to make investments in infrastructure with more federal dollars coming down for roads and bridges. And as you're going to see, we're going to make the application and push to build that companion bridge for the Brent Spence Bridge without tolls. I am committed to getting that done. I'm talking to everybody in DC who will listen to me. If there's an undersecretary for the boat in the harbor, I'm even talking to them on it at the moment. It is a priority. We look at other investments that we can continue to make, water and sewer, making sure everybody has clean drinking water, getting broadband to every household and making it affordable. But you know, if we are going to continue this progress, where we have world-class companies investing in us, think about it. We have both Ford's largest investment in their history and Amazon's right up there in Northern Kentucky. We got to have a world-class workforce, which requires a world-class public education system. So you're going to see historic or near historic investments in K through 12 and post-secondary education, in our training and workforce development programs. And then there's going to be some areas in this budget where we can be really good human beings. So during COVID, we were able to make sure there were no seniors on waiting lists for food. In other words, in the past, we've known that seniors have gone hungry because there was a waiting list for food assistance. We've been able to eliminate that. And we have the budget where we can continue to provide meals to every senior in Kentucky that's going hungry, and we should.
You mentioned the Brent Spence Bridge. So you are in the process, the state is in the process of applying for those dollars officially now. And I know the last time we talked, you had committed possibly using rainy day funds to overcome any shortfalls to make sure there is no tolls on the bridge. Are you still committed to that? Or do you think the feds there'll be enough federal dollars to make it happen?
Well, I believe that we are going to get this done, that we are closer than we have ever been. And there are at least two different pools that we can apply for that we think would get us the necessary finances to do this, to do it without tolls and to move ahead, which is incredibly exciting. I'm willing to pay our share, whether that's using extra rainy day funds, whether we can absorb it in our regular road fund, or whether we can use traditional expenses paid for in the road fund, like commercial vehicle enforcement, and use a little more general fund to pay for that, and then free up road fund. However we do it, I'm committed to making it happen. I'm willing to be flexible so that the people of Northern Kentucky, but really the people of America, can get this project finally moving forward. And I want to be the governor to do it.
One of the things that is coming up next year is redistricting. It's a very hot topic in Ohio right now. It's going to the Supreme Court. Do you envision any major fights over that like we're seeing in Ohio? What do you see the sticking points are? I mean, I live right across the river from Hamilton County, which is predominantly Democrat, but the Republicans control the legislature, so they split it into 3 districts that are GOP controlled. What are your thoughts on that happening in Kentucky? And I know that there have been talks of special session to get this done. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my door is open. I'm willing to have any conversation, but no legislative leader has walked through that door and asked me to call a special session. It's an extraordinary step by a governor, and at least a face-to-face conversation is, I think, what the people of Kentucky expect. I'm not sure that legislative leadership has the maps done. And what you have in Ohio, even if you have challenges, is at least the public has seen them. That hasn't occurred here in Kentucky. What we need are maps that are legal and are fair and put democracy ahead of partisanship. You know, with a supermajority, you know, with so many seats that one party already has, surely we can draw a fair map where the people get to select their elected officials and not the other way around. So I hope that we will see as many counties as possible not split up. I hope that we will see contiguous, congressional maps. And I hope that people don't try to get too greedy or too cute, because in the end, democracy requires that we do this right and that there's truly one person, one vote.
It's interesting you mentioned that because, Northern Kentucky's congressional district is kind of an unusual shape, all the way down the river, all the way from outskirts of Louisville all the way into Northern Kentucky and across. Speaking of which, I mean, our congressional leadership in Kentucky has been in the news quite a bit, both for Senator Paul taking on issues related to COVID, and then obviously Congressman Massey with his picture yesterday or I mean, earlier this week with the firearms. What's your thought on both Senator Paul and his response to COVID, as well as Congressman Massey and his response and his picture with the firearms?
Well, I'm disappointed in that Senator Paul could have been a voice for science and health, could have been a voice that would break through the skepticism and ensure that this was not a political issue, but an issue of life and death, and not red versus blue. I'm not just disappointed in the stances he's taken. He could have been, I think, a national leader, a voice of reason that would have saved a number of lives. As far as Congressman Massey, I don't think that picture was a response to certain events, but I do think right now, with so many people hurting, that being a decent human being, maybe we would consider at least responding to those folks with words of comfort or of understanding. I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, but if there are families out there that have just been through a horrible trauma, I could at least think about what picture I post somewhere. It doesn't hurt me to take a picture down for a period of time when someone is going through the worst imaginable. And as a parent, I can't put myself in that position.
What are your thoughts on 2021 as we wrap up? I know, especially with some of the economic announcements that you made around the state, given the pandemic and all of those issues, fairly remarkable that you were able to, the state was able to land those.
It has been an incredible year for Kentucky in terms of economic momentum and development. We are the talk of every boardroom across America, and every country throughout this world now not only knows where we are, but what we can do. We are going to shatter every economic development record we've ever had. In a typical year, we average $4 to $6 billion in new investment. We're going to cross $11 billion before the end of December. We had our single largest investment in our history. The Ford SK Innovation Battery Park is going to make us the electric vehicle battery capital of the United States. We become a leader in agriculture technology, growing tomatoes on top of abandoned coal mines. And we're going to have the cleanest, greenest, most sophisticated recycled paper mill that is the biggest investment in Western Kentucky in 25 years. And we are not done yet. There are so many more potential opportunities out there. There's no battery supply chain in the United States, and we want to get as much of it right here as possible. Listen, everything is changing in Kentucky. Our world is now different, with fewer impediments than we have ever seen and more potential than at any time in my lifetime. It is really exciting, especially as a dad whose kids are going to grow up in that economy. And we work hard to try to land each of these opportunities, and we are not going to let up for 1 minute.
Anything I didn't ask that you wanted to bring up?
I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I'm grateful to all of our Kentuckians and everybody in Ohio for everything they've tried to do, the sacrifices they have made while we have been in the midst of this pandemic. We are going to make it. Christmas is a time that reminds us that we are expected to be good people and make sacrifices for one another. And the future that we are going to walk into once we defeat this virus is bright, it is hopeful, and it's worth fighting for.
Last question, I want to circle back on the Brent Spence. Do you have a deadline in mind, or is there a deadline in place for when you're going to officially apply for those 2 pots of money? I know which 2 you're talking about, but is there any dates or any pins in the map that you're saying, hey, we want to get it done by this point, and we should get an answer by, here's when we apply is X and when we're here back is Y?
I don't have any of the dates in front of me, but what I can tell you is we want to get our application in. We want to get it in as fast as we can, with it being comprehensive. We want to do all the work to show the federal government what they should already know. This is the most important infrastructure project in the country, bar none. And this project ought to be the visual that comes to people's mind when they look at the transformational nature of this infrastructure bill. Listen, I hope that we will not only have an application, I hope we will be one of the first acceptances, and that the President of the United States can fly, land in Northern Kentucky, stick a shovel in the ground with myself and Governor DeWine, Senator Portman, and Senator McConnell, and we can get this thing going.
Good to see you again, Governor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.